All right, so we are taking a look at my very first CGC submission for the channel. The way I've got it divided up here, this stack is all San Diego Comic Con exclusive Lilianas. There's 6 total there. These are alpha Earthbinds. These are just various Lilianas from different sets. And then these are beta Earthbinds. So before I go through all those, I just want to really quickly take a look at the different cases. Like I said, all these are going to be going to CGC. It's kind of my opinion they have the best looking case. It's just the most clear. I like that they have the subgrades, and I like their label pretty well. I like the blue color. That's a little more subjective, but the clarity is just you can't argue with it. It's better than everything else, and it's also feels nice and secure and safe. I want to contrast that with the BGS case first. It's definitely secure and sturdy, but if you get it in the light here, you can see that wrinkling, and that's from that inner sleeve. And with 2 layers of plastic there in the sleeve, not being perfectly straight, you just get a lot of reflection with BGS cases. So that's the main thing I don't like about them. Their label is nice, and it does keep the card very safe, but I'm just not a huge fan of the reflectivity of these cases. And then finally PSA. PSA does have a very clear case as well, although their background is matted on purpose. The labels are fine. They're a little more kind of old-fashioned, I'd say, than CGC's. But they're not bad. I do plan to send some other cards to PSA. Don't have anything currently I'm looking to send to BGS, but like I said, the ones we're going to go over here are all for CGC. So with that, let's get into those. Okay, so I said this first set was the San Diego Comic Con exclusive Lilianas. This first one here is definitely the most valuable. The raw versions of these are more in the like 500 up to 900 range. They kind of vary a lot. They've definitely changed in the last couple of years. I only have one of these. I'm actually really curious to see how this grades. It's more or less in perfect condition, but maybe hard to see, but here on the edges, on the left edge, there's marks, but it's not really marks on the card. It's just where I don't know what kind of coating these cards have, but it's almost like it didn't get fully done on every part of the edge or something. So I've seen others that are like this, and actually some of the other San Diego Comic Con exclusive ones kind of have that same issue. So I don't know if that's going to be marked against it or not. It's not like scuffing or anything. It's just how the card was made. And you can actually see a little bit of that on the bottom as well. But given that this is the most expensive one, and it's got that, this is one I'm most curious to see how CGC grades. I've never actually seen one like on eBay, so I don't really know how to evaluate it. But so that's Liliana the Dark Realms. Yeah, these cards are definitely they're very dark, so they're actually kind of hard to see even in person. So they're maybe not the most ideal for putting in a deck, but they're very unique. And they only did these type for 3 years, so this one is definitely the most rare. So next is going to be, I've got 2 Liliana Vesses here. This was the second year for San Diego Comic Con Planeswalkers. It's got that dark style again. Both of these look pretty good. This one you can see is, actually, I was going to say it was slightly off-center, but actually it looks pretty good. So I think these have pretty good shots of getting a pretty good grade. So that's the second one, and then I have 2 of the Liliana Heretical Healers. I think that definitely has good artwork. I like the how it's got that really dark background, but there's the purple shining, and then if you actually flip it over, it's kind of got the same deal. But these look pretty cool in my opinion, so I want to both of these graded. And yeah, if I get the light just right, you can see a little bit of that shining on the edge, kind of like that Liliana the Dark Realms that I showed you earlier. So definitely curious to see how these grade, but they're very cool cards regardless. Now we have 3 more San Diego versions. These were the last 3 years that they did the Planeswalkers at San Diego Comic Con. So this first one's from Eldritch Moon, Liliana the Last Hope. You saw already had a CGC one earlier. This one does have a similar issue to that one where it's slightly off center, off to the left. Otherwise, it looks really good to me, but definitely want to see how it can grade. Next one is Death's Majesty, and this one actually looks very good to me. I would expect a pretty high grade. Hopefully, I'm hoping I can get elite 10s on some of these. Maybe not, definitely won't be a perfect 10, but something higher than a 9 would be ideal. And then here's the last one from M19. Again, this one looks pretty good. But yeah, those first 3 I think are definitely the most valuable and most unique, and these later 3 are still unique, but definitely not quite as rare as those first 3. Okay, moving on to the first set of Earthbinds. These are all from Alpha. I have 4 here total. These are, I have a few more than this. These are the ones I thought looked mostly the best. I found imperfections on all of them, so I don't expect a 10 on any of them. But I think they all have a decent shot at 9s. Maybe there'll be some 8.5s in there or something, but they look like they're in pretty good shape. These cards I bought pretty close to 3 years ago now. I guess 2.5 years. This was right after Wizards announced that they were banning certain artworks. They were all for like racial reasons, but when they did that, I sort of went on a hunt for other cards that I thought maybe had some potential of just not being reprinted. Like, I don't think this would be banned by any means, but I didn't think it would ever be reprinted, and there's probably other cards out there that you could find that are like that. So I actually bought a lot of these after they announced that, and then really that belief and expectation was validated with Magic 30th anniversary, because in that set it was a reprint of Beta. They left off 4 cards. 3 of those had Annie on the card, so I think they just left those out because, you know, they didn't want people playing the game as if it was gambling. Kind of would have been neat if they left those in, and if Magic 30 was like a lot cheaper and then people could have played it the way it was originally played. I think that kind of would have been neat. But anyway, they left 3 off that had Annie in the name, or just in the card, and then the 4th one they left off was Earthbind, and I think that was solely because of the art. So really, that belief I had a few years ago was pretty well validated. So I think this is sort of like a soft reserve list card. Definitely unique. Definitely has artwork that both I enjoy and I think a lot of other people do. I know the revised and unlimited versions of this have been getting a lot of attention lately after the Magic 30 thing, just because people saw that it wasn't being reprinted, so those prices have actually gone up a little bit. But yeah, I think it's a card that'll hold value over time, and it's definitely iconic and kind of a example of a type of Magic that's kind of long gone, an era long gone. So 4 alphas there. Next, we're going back to the Lilianas. This very first one is right around War of the Spark. It was a little bit before then. It was the Masterpiece Series Mythic Edition. They printed, I don't remember how many Planeswalkers, a set of 25 or so. But this was one of the first like unique like Masterpiece Series they did. And this card raw runs around $60. But I think it's definitely a cool looking card, and don't have any of this graded yet. So this one will be my first, and it looks really, really good in terms of condition. So I think it's got a pretty decent shot at a 10. Next one, you've already seen this one before. Well, you've seen a graded version of this, so I have a PSA 10 version of this already. This one also looks very clean, so we'll see how CGC does with it. But I am hoping for a 10 here as well. And then finally, we've got two of the Liliana the Veil box topper editions. These are the only full art versions of this art, and so I just think these are the best Lilianas. There's some others that are more expensive, but I definitely think this one will hold value over time. These grade pretty well if you look at the population reports with BGS and PSA. A pretty high percentage get 10s, and these I don't see any flaws on them either. So I'm optimistically expecting 10s on these as well from CGC. But so two of those will be going. Okay, finally we have the beta Earthbinds. So not too much more to say about that. I've got 8 of them here. Bought more of these than alpha ones, just obviously they were a lot cheaper. But I don't really expect 10s on any of these. They're all pretty good condition, but I'd be pretty happy with 9s. Maybe some could get lucky enough to get a 9.5, but I'm not gonna be expecting that and set myself up for disappointment. So I'm just hoping for 9s. But yeah, definitely curious to see how CGC grades those. I'll post a second part to this video that will be the returns, and we'll see if my optimistic expectations came true or if we're going to get a lot of 7s and 8s. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.